Hello and welcome to Week 11 of Electric Football. With you as always, I'm Stuart Pace.
And I'm Steve Brown. Actually, this is our third shot at Week 11.
If you're seeing this, it's a miracle and we'll be here next week.
We're 3 nights in a row. We've been sleeping here at the Cosmo Club. Anyway, let's jump right into the games because we are having technical difficulties again. Tonight,
Thursday night, Steve's favorite.
Colts at the Titans. And I got to tell you, I'm all over the Colts in this game. Titans are a mediocre team on both sides of the ball, and that's a way to lose games.
Yeah.
They have a decent defense, you think, until you look at the numbers, and they're in the mid-20s.
Right.
Give me the Colts. I expect them to put up enough to win.
Yeah, it's a bounce-back week for the Colts here. Andrew Luck should throw for 3 or 4 here, and they should win this easily. It's the Colts.
Jets at the Bills. And the Jets signed Ed Reed today, which, 10 years ago would have been a great thing. All kidding aside, Hall of Famer,
No doubt.
great career, the kind of player you would want on your team.
2 years too long in the league.
To me, much more of a leader than Ray Lewis. I don't need the fiery guy. I need the guy that gets out there on the field and shows me how it's done and does it week in and week out. So salute to Ed Reed. And a real quick goodbye to Todd Christensen from Electric Football.
Yeah, strange.
Sad and strange and young. And a guy who may not be fully appreciated by some of the younger viewers, as if we have a vast audience of young viewers.
Hope someone's watching.
But he was a running back in college, converted over to tight end, wasn't making it. Had hurt himself with Dallas, and then played, I think, 1 game with the Giants, and then goes out and sets the record for the most receptions by a tight end in a season.
Yep.
Wins a couple Super Bowls in Oakland. So Electric Football likes to salute the players that are leaving this earth, the people the NFL has lost.
Are dearly departed.
And Todd Christensen falls in that. Goodbye, Todd Christensen. You were a hell of a player.
We'll miss you.
All right, so Jets at Bills. Personally, I think the third-ranked Jets defense lines up really well against what the Bills want to do. The Bills are not going to be able to move, Muhammad Wilkerson out of the way. The Jets are getting some pieces back on offense. Marty Morningweg ought to be able to open it up a little bit. I think they get Kellen Winslow back. I think they get Santonio Holmes back. I think I'm losing my eyes because my hat is sneaking down on me. So as much as I hate to say it, I like the Jets in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills against my better judgment just because this is one of those games where everything makes sense, and this should happen, and the Jets should win. The Jets should win, ladies and gentlemen. I'm taking the Bills.
That's Stuart's trenchant analysis.
That kind of season.
The Dirty Falcons at the Sinking Buccaneers.
Yeah.
The Bucks did, I don't want to say this too loudly in front of Stuart, but they did get their first win of the season. You shut up. We have to do another fake fall again.
Oh,
no. Anyway, the Bucks are a really strange team in that they love to jump out to an early lead and even have leads in the fourth quarter and blow them unless they're playing the Dolphins.
Right.
They're going against the Falcons, who have quit more than the Bucks, as far as I can tell. The Bucks are still playing for Schiano. I don't think the Falcons are. Well, they never were playing for Schiano.
Yeah. Boom, boom.
But I'm going to take the Bucks at home in this one. I'm going to give them 2 in a row.
Yeah, I don't see anything going on with the Falcons that necessarily indicates that they're going to rebound and play well here. The Bucks are playing like they have something to play for, even though they don't. They seem to have the fire. Mike Glennon out of NC State looking pretty good for a kid that sometimes looks like a deer in the headlights.
He is a tall drink of water.
He is what is he, 6'7", 6'8", but throws a nice spiral. Vince Jackson's still there. I like him.
All right. Speaking of good wide receivers or great wide receivers, we've got the Lions at the Steelers. And it's weird to me. I looked at the stats, and it's weird to me. I didn't realize that Calvin Johnson was not leading the league in TD receptions, and he was not leading the league in yardage. But he is by far the best wide receiver. Right now, the Lions have control of that division, partially because they're playing more consistently than they have in the past, and partially because Stafford is still standing, whereas Cutler and Rodgers is not.
Right.
And unfortunately, Ponder still is. So I like the Lions in this game. I think they've got a ton of speed on offense, and I think the Steelers are going to be a step slow on defense, and that's a bad combination.
Yeah, it's the Lions' second road game in a row. They shouldn't win. They can't win, but the Steelers suck. I'm taking the Lions.
All right, Redskins at the Eagles. And you want a really weird stat from this year?
Sure.
Nick Foles has 18 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions, and he's not listed as, he's not
the starting quarterback.
That's tough. That's Alex Smith territory, if you know what I'm saying. But with Bowles playing well, and with him suddenly having a second option in Riley Cooper, who has suddenly come alive, I watched the first few Eagles games, and I was just like, why do they even have this guy on the field?
Hmm.
Other than the racist comments, he was producing nothing.
Right.
And suddenly, he's two touchdowns, three touchdowns, hundreds of yards a game.
He's got a quarterback that likes to throw to him as opposed to Vic, who maybe doesn't like him.
Well,
Let's face it, quarterbacks
Vic gave
and
him
wide
support after the.
No, I'm not saying not like him personally.
Okay.
I mean,
Has
as a receiver,
has a rapport with him.
exactly. There you go.
Gotcha. So I actually like the Eagles in this game.
Yeah, the Eagles beat up Green Bay, no doubt about it. They've got the best, one of the best offenses in the league. And I don't see Washington able to keep up with them. I'm taking the Eagles.
Cardinals at the Jags. Like the way I did that, folks?
That was beautiful.
I got my lumberjack look going.
Yeah.
So the Jaguars are finally, they got a win. It doesn't seem like a repeatable win, to be perfectly frank.
Back to your regularly scheduled programming.
There you go. Back to packing your bags for London. The Cardinals are not playing great. Talking about a guy that may have extended his career a little bit too long. Nobody's going to remember Carson Palmer as the Cardinals,
Quarterback.
QB.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he's savvy enough to not give the Jaguars the turnovers. And if the Jaguars don't get turnovers, they're not winning this game. Cardinals can suddenly pound the ball a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I see the Cardinals winning this one fairly easily.
Yeah, the Jags won their game. MJD looked like he was playing for once, which was refreshing. Unfortunately, I didn't pick them last week, so that wasn't helpful. But I think that they blew their load. That was their game, and I certainly think that the Cardinals overall have a better team than they do.
They blew their load.
They did. Whatever they had, they shot it out.
Wow. Hopefully you're.
It's not coming out. I'm not meaning it in any other way.
I hate to be a groundskeeper there. Anyway,
yeah, sorry.
We've got the Raiders going to the Texans, and I'm still a believer in the Texans, and I can't figure out why. Arian Foster is out.
Out of here. He's out for the season.
I know.
He was my fantasy team.
Ed Reed is now a Jet. Not that really mattered. I don't know why. I can't get off the. I'm a believer in Case Keenum.
Well, they're playing the Raiders. I believe in Houston too.
Yeah, well, Terrell Pryor has played well. But yeah, I'm going Houston in this one.
Yeah, me too. Raiders are nothing.
Okay. So we've got the Ravens at Chicago, and Jay Cutler may have. Years ago, there was a question. Jay Cutler was on the sideline. He wouldn't go into a game. Everybody was tweeting and chatter. I think they had tweeting back then.
I don't know.
Why didn't he play? Isn't he a tough guy? If you've been an NFL quarterback for 10 seconds, you're tougher than me. But I think that, honestly, I think that may have been if you signed the contract and then were cut like 2 seconds later. But I think that may have been in the back of his mind when he tried to play it with, a clearly still hurting groin. I don't want to talk about Jay Cutler's groin too much, but he was bouncing passes.
Doesn't he?
Trestman stuck. Well, maybe that's why Trestman stuck with him. He couldn't tell the difference. No, honestly, he's always been considered a talented guy. There was a question of toughness. And maybe he tried to prove it. Maybe he thought, okay, Aaron Rodgers is out. I can match Matthew Stafford. I don't know, but it was a huge mistake, and it may have actually cost him any shot at the playoffs. With that said, I have so much trouble with this guy's name. If they had put in Josh
McCown.
Thank you. I don't know why I'm stuck on that.
I don't know.
Earlier, they might have won that game. He'll be in this game, and I still think they're going to lose. I'm taking the Ravens in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens too. The Ravens were in the Super Bowl last year. They're not that far removed from being that team. And I don't understand why they're not playing up to their potential. But I think this is one of those games, man. This is black and blue, absolutely. They're going to pound it. I think the advantage is Flacco over McCown in this game, and I'm taking the Ravens.
We agree. So Browns at the Bengals in the Orange Bowl, basically. And I got to tell you, once again, teams I can't get off. I can't get off the Bengals. A.J. Green does lead the NFL in receiving yards. I don't see any reason the Bengals should lose this game. I know they've suffered some injuries on the defensive line. I honestly, I'm just going Bengals on this. I've been with them this season. I'm disappointed, but I'm sticking with them on this game.
I think the Browns win this game. They've had a week off to prepare for this game. The Bengals have been in some pretty tough games of late. They lost to Miami, and who'd they beat the other day? I can't even remember because it's the third time we're filming this.
The Bengals, they lost to the Ravens.
Oh, see, they lost to the Ravens. So they've had two big losses. Cleveland's not that bad. They're coming off the week's rest at home. I'm taking Cleveland.
except it's the Bengals.
So take the Bengals.
Okay, folks.
Oh, I had a bad day.
So we've got the Chargers at the Dolphins. And speaking of bad days, I'm gonna let Stu lead off on this one.
Yeah, this is a complete mess. They need to fire everybody from the top down. You can't cut off the GM's head and leave the coach there. They've tried that 3 or 4 different times. Whatever the media did to this particular incident, they blew it so far out of proportion that there's no escaping it, and you can't get out from under it. Everyone should leave, pack their bags, and go, and bring in a whole new regime. That said, they're going to lose this week. The Chargers have a talented enough team that's going to come in here. They're not dysfunctional. They're going to come into Miami, and God bless them, they're going to beat us.
Yeah, Miami's offensive line woes are well documented. You could see that against the Bucs when they got a safety. What was it? Gerald McCoy just ripped right through there. Ryan Matthews is playing well. The Chargers did lose to the Broncos, but there's no shame in that.
No.
So I'm with you on this. I think they pound Ryan Matthews. I think Philip Rivers has had a decent season, and I don't think the Dolphins are going to be able to.
We couldn't stop Tampa's running game. I don't think we're going to stop San Diego's with a quarterback that can actually connect.
Yeah, and you certainly haven't been able to establish a running game with the offensive
2 yards
line
rushing, man.
Yeah. What was it? 14,
I think I could fall down for 2 yards.
14 carries for 2 yards, something like that. Yeah, so I think they are having some O-line difficulties.
Yeah, let's move on. Packers Giants.
All right. Packers Giants. The Packers season has been just a war of attrition. It is amazing the injuries that they've gone through. Not that other teams don't have injuries, but the level of that it's hit the Packers. It's like one of those land armies that tried to invade Russia in the winter. They come staggering back out. There's like 3 people left. That's how the Packers look to me. Yes, they still have Jordy Nelson on the field, but yes,
he's not scaring.
They have Eddie Lacy, but that's about it, really.
Without Rodgers throwing to him, Jordy Nelson's not a scary receiver.
Yeah, you're down to Seneca Wallace went down. That's like you lost Napoleon and you lost Napoleon's,
Junior.
The spear carrier, whatever the
message for you, sire. Oh damn.
Yeah, we've lost them all. So. You have the Giants at home on a winning streak, not an impressive winning streak, but still with some weapons on offense. And I believe the Giants win this game, and I believe
think they win.
That's 4 in a row, and it puts them right back. The Giants also have the motivation because it can put them right back into the division. They win this, and then they get Dallas.
Yeah. You covered it. I have nothing to add.
Okay.
You really did. That was a well placed analysis.
Well, thank you. And I like your shirt.
Thank you.
And your hair looks good today.
I had a haircut in between this first and second and third shows.
There you go. That explains that.
It's been a week.
So my Vikes against Seattle, which has turned into a little bit of Minnesota West. They will be getting Percy Harvin back. They're getting back not 1, not 2, but I believe 3 offensive linemen, and they were already way better than us. There isn't a whole lot of analysis you have to put into this. Seattle plays great at home. They get an MVP caliber weapon back, and they get, their offensive line back. Both of their tackles come back. Gee, I think we're in trouble.
Yeah,
Give me the Seahawks. Give them to me easily. And let me tell you that right now, with those additions coming back, I think Seattle is the class of the league. There you go, you Pat. That's for you, baby.
Okay. I don't agree that they're class of the league yet, but I'm certainly thinking they win the NFC, championship here. The Vikings, I took them last week. It was just a gut feeling. I thought they could win that game. This week, I really don't give them any chance. It's so hard to win in Seattle. Seattle's streaky. Put them on the road, you can kind of pick against them. Put them at home, awfully hard. And like you said, all these pieces coming back as if they needed more.
Right.
San Francisco should be worried because Seattle's now getting better.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying they're the class of the league.
Yeah.
I did go against my Vikings last week.
Yeah, I don't know
which
why
I
you
should
did
be
that.
ashamed of. But I did win a beer from Dr. S. So Dr. S, if you're watching, you pay up tomorrow. First round, baby. First round, and it's going to be a big one.
A big beer.
One of those giant glasses that you can put your head over. Anyway.
We moved to the Niners and the Saints,
we do. Go
game
ahead.
of the week, wouldn't you think?
There's a couple of good games. You got Chiefs Broncos, and you've got the last 3 games. I hope you stayed for this part, folks.
Yeah.
The last 3 games
We
are the
should have
best
started
games
here and worked
of the
back.
week. You go with San Francisco
Well,
and the Saints.
San Francisco's not been impressive. I think they might have made a mistake in trading the wrong quarterback and in Alex Smith to Kansas City. Although we'll talk about that later. I really think that the Saints, because they're home, their offense just clicks on every kind of cylinder that there is. If there's 9 cylinders, they're clicking on 10 of them. It just seems that Drew Brees can do no wrong, and the 49ers' vaunted defense isn't so vaunted. They're not performing as they have in the past. A 10-9 loss, albeit against a pretty good Panthers team, still, that's a game that they should have been in pretty good control of for the most part. I'm taking the Saints here.
I love you, but you can't blame the defense in a 10-9 loss. You just can't. I mean, the San Francisco held them to 10.
I'm not blaming them for the loss. I'm blaming them in a 10-9 game. Your defense should have had more control of that game. They couldn't control the Carolina Panthers. It's going to be hard to control Drew Brees.
I agree with you on the analysis of this week. I'm just looking back at last week. I think the blame goes on Colin Kaepernick.
I don't think he's that great a quarterback.
He's certainly he seems to have lost some confidence that we had last year.
Panthers were doing that.
Yeah, the Panthers were doing that, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
He had a huge first week, if I remember right, and I don't think he's thrown for over 200 yards very often after that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a question of if Kaepernick has any sort of confidence. And you have to, Vernon Davis going out with a concussion, you have to look at that too and say, well, that really affects him because, you know, he doesn't have the weapons that he did have.
Right.
And Vernon Davis is a huge one for him. Mm-hmm. Well, Crabtree's out. You know, you used to have Randy Moss, who wasn't Randy Moss is old, but he's still a veteran wide receiver that could get you a big catch. So he's lost weapons. He seems to have lost confidence. I can certainly understand that. The Saints do give up a lot of rushing yards.
And San Francisco's gotten away from that. They need Gore to be a bigger part of this offense. They made it a Kaepernick team rather than a Gore team, and I think they were successful last year because it was Gore's team.
Nice, and that's exactly what I'm driving at. That if San Francisco comes in there and pounds Gore, they're going to lose by less, but they're still going to lose. The Saints at home, you got to give credit to Rob Ryan. I was about to say Rex. That defense is flying all around like it did when they were paying them. You know what I mean?
Like
when they were mercenaries, they're flying around like they're getting paid for this. And, that has made the difference. The Saints were always sort of, you all saw them as an offensive team that was going to give up 30 or 40. Not really anymore.
Right.
I like the Saints in this one, too.
Okay. Chiefs and Denver.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, you've got the undefeated Chiefs, and you've got the Broncos at home, but Peyton Manning is on a wounded hoof. He's clearly banged up. He is having one of the greatest seasons ever for a quarterback, and I'd like to see him stay healthy enough to see how that ends. I'd like to see him, continue. But they have you're going to find out about the Broncos in the next 3 weeks because it's Chiefs, New England, at the Chiefs. I believe that this game, they are still healthy enough. I think Noshawn Moreno takes some of the pressure off of him. I think the Broncos' passing offense is not, let me drop back and send it 60 yards down the field.
It's timing.
Let me throw it. It's not even timing. It's let me throw it to a guy named Thomas, and they run 40 yards on a screen pass. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable how well they do that. And then when they need a third down, there's that Little Wes Welker.
Little Wes Welker.
We love that Little Wes Welker.
Brought to you by the boys at Electric Football.
So there you go. I think that they hang the first loss on the Chiefs. If the Chiefs if that defensive line gets to Manning and messes with the high ankle sprain, all this analysis is out the window. Yeah. But until that happens, I'm taking the Broncos.
I would have preferred this game to be switched. I would have preferred the Chiefs be home in the first game to see how this plays, because I think then at the second game, if the Broncos are banged up and Peyton's hurting and they're limping into the Chiefs' home, it changes the dynamic. I do believe the Chiefs lose here. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I'm very interested to see how the Chiefs' defense holds up against this kind of offense to see if they're for real. Because the Chiefs' offense isn't winning these games. It's the Chiefs' defense that's been keeping them undefeated. They're just tremendous. But they haven't really played a team like this, and let's see how it goes.
There you go.
But I do like the Broncos here.
Yeah. So we'll finish up, and that is the Patriots at the Panthers. And we were talking Panthers, and I've been pushing the Panthers pretty hard recently, and I'm going to push them again.
Is that code? Pushing the Panther?
Pushing the Panther. Yeah. All right, I don't want to talk. We've already been close to that line.
Yeah.
Stewart's working a little blue here, folks. And New England has been bopping the Bishop. Sorry. Panthers D-line and linebackers. are going to put a lot of pressure on Brady. They're going
Yeah.
to frustrate him. I know Brady's gotten some weapons back in Amendola if he can stay on the field, and Gronk if he can stay on the field. But I honestly believe that Brady is going to be pushed around. I believe that the Panthers have the kind of linebackers that can deal with Gronk. Kuechly and Davis are flying all
Yeah,
over the field.
they're young, and I think that's the difference. These are young guys that can keep up with everybody right now. So this is a prime time for them.
Yeah, so I honestly think that this is a big game for the Panthers, national television, against a quality opponent, and I think they win it, and I think they stamp themselves as a playoff contender.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. Belichick just seems to always find a way to win things. I like the Panthers. I like the way that they're playing. They're playing with fire. They have a very fast defense. And Tom Brady, when he gets rattled, isn't very good. I mean, what quarterback is when they're getting beat to crap every week? But Brady specifically, when you can get to him, he's less effective. And he doesn't have the weapons around him like he has in the past where he can make a mistake or two. He doesn't have that, that cushion with some of the guys that he has this time as opposed to the last couple of years. So I'm a Dolphin fan. I'm rooting for a Panther win here, but I really do believe that the Panthers are a team at home that could beat the Patriots.
There you go, folks. So that's electric football for Week 11. I'm going to do a separate little rant if you guys want to just listen to me complain for a few minutes, and that's pretty much it.
Thanks for the Cosmos Club for hosting us 3 times this week, and Fin Nation, Fanatics, I hope you're watching. We'll see you next week.
Subscribe, comment. We'll try and get back to you. We appreciate the support, guys.
Bye-bye.